Class-based multiplayer games are notoriously difficult to get right. When a game has characters with the same abilities or weaponry, it could be relatively simple to build out an expansive system that is fun to use. But when different players take on different roles, it can often lead to a lessened experience for those stuck in the less desirable passive roles. While getting an experience that is truly level for every role is impossible, I believe Overwatch remains the pinnacle of how to design different characters for a cohesive team of people with different roles. Welcome to the Game Analyst, where I do a deep dive into a theme or game mechanic to see what interesting consequences the design has on the audience. And striking while the iron is ice cold, I am going to be discussing one of my favorite multiplayer experiences over the past few years, 2016's Overwatch. With Overwatch 2 still on the horizon, why not examine some of the interesting ability design in Overwatch? Regarding Overwatch, there are many aspects I could discuss, such as how the maps are designed to benefit different playstyles with choke points and layouts, or how the different objectives lead toward a cohesive team setting. For the sake of time, those might have to be videos for another day. Today, I want to focus on the mechanical design of each character, from their weapons, skills, and ultimate abilities, as well as how they fit into a greater team as a whole. So I'll be breaking down each of the contributing factors that add up to become a single character. At the moment, there are over 30 unique characters to choose from in Overwatch. From the relatively simple jack-of-all-trades Soldier 76 to the defensive Reinhardt to the sniping medic Ana, there is a role for everybody. Currently, there are 3 different roles characters belong to. Tanks, whose job is to take damage while protecting their team. Damage, whose role is to be the lead damage dealers on the team by killing the enemy team. And healers, whose job is to patch up teammates and keep them alive. Your 6-man squad consists of a mixture of these roles, whose job is to either attack or defend an objective against another team of 6. However, characters in the same class might behave vastly differently within their given role. Within the damage class, Tracer will get close and annoy enemies with her quick speed and SMGs. Widowmaker will stay back to pick off unaware enemies at a distance, and Mei will stall opponents by separating them from their teammates and freezing them. Each character is designed to perform the same task in slightly different ways. This all seems simple enough, but where I believe the design truly shines is in the versatility of each character and skill. Classes can expand into other roles as needed due to skills and weapons almost always having a dual-purpose design. Every skill might have a few different aspects that can be helpful in different situations. Tanks like Zarya, D.Va, and Sigma can do just as much damage with their skills than damage dealers might do. Mei's Ice Wall can act as a pseudo-tank role, Soldier 76 can be a quick medic for his team if needed, Brigitte can act as a quick tank for emergencies, and the list goes on. It is the dual-purpose design of these characters, which enables this quick versatility which allows for more dynamic team composition and player agency. So what makes an Overwatch character? Well, at least from a pure gameplay perspective. I'm not interested in personalities or designs. Those are all fine and dandy, but I'm only interested in the moment-to-moment gameplay that each character brings to the table. First, the main thing each character has is their firearm. Every character is more or less built around their weapon of choice. After all, firing their gun is the primary thing they will be doing throughout the game. So while some are straightforward, like Soldier 76's assault rifles, or Tracer's dual-wielded SMGs, others have multiple functionalities, such as Widowmaker's sniper SMG combo, Zarya's beam that can lob projectiles, or Ana's sniper rifle that heals allies. Most guns fall into the latter category, having different uses or modes of fire. So while each character has a range they are optimal at, oftentimes they can still fight at other ranges, albeit in a much weaker capacity. When thinking of a character, their gun is their main skill set and ability for all intents and purposes. However, there is obviously more to a character than their weapon. While each gun is fairly standard and most of them offer little in terms of flexibility, the versatility stems from the fact that this is combined with the character's individual abilities. Each character has anywhere from 1 to 4 special abilities that are specific to that character, and they can be used at will after a varying cooldown period. These abilities, which I'll call active abilities, are skills that can be used at the press or hold of a button, with each having their own specific function. Most serve to bolster the main gameplay style associated with that character. Hanzo can shoot a tracking arrow to see his prey for easier sniping, Reaper can teleport behind enemy lines for sneak attacks, and Roadhog can hook enemies to make them come closer inside his range. All of these abilities still rely on the primary weapon as a pillar of their strength, but also helps accommodate their character goal. However, for some characters, their active ability might take over their primary weapon as their main attack. Wrecking Ball hooks to swing around the environment, Reinhardt's shield, Pharah's flying, Sombra's hack, and basically all of Doomfist's kit fall into this category, as the ability is often more essential than the weapon that character is carrying. Then there are those with passive abilities or skills that are constantly active. These abilities are few and far between, as most characters don't have them, but a few do, such as Brigitte, and her healing when dealing damage. Lucio's ability to ride walls and provide support with his aura, Mercy's self-healing, and Reinhardt's steadfast to prevent being blown back as far are good examples of these. A number of these skills even use the maps themselves as environmental interactions. Wrecking Ball can latch onto surfaces and swing like a wrecking ball. Characters like Orisa, Roadhog, and Lucio can push enemies off the map. And Doomfist's punch deal extra damage to those knocked into a wall. The final skill at each character's disposal is their ultimate ability. This ability is charged through dealing damage, healing health, waiting, or any combination of the above. Most ultimates can turn the tide of battle if used effectively. So I mentioned all the traits to examine how a character is made. A character is essentially a combination of those traits, along with their hitboxes and health pool. Each of these aspects are designed to work together to give that one character a unique identity of a role that only they can perform. There might be others that can fill those roles to an extent, but no one can provide aerial support like Pharah, can shield teammates like Reinhardt, or prod at the enemy team like Tracer. To the astute viewer, some of what I have explained so far might seem like a contradiction to this point in this video. If all the characters are designed to perform a single task really well, how can they perform different roles? Well, it is in the design of these skills and ultimates, which oftentimes have dual purposes. Abilities are designed in such a way to have multiple functions depending on their uses. Every ability can accomplish multiple goals, whether it's moving yourself and enemies, granting a debuff effect and tracking the enemy's movements, or acting as an alarm to alert you of an approaching enemy while also dealing damage. Nearly every ability is a combination of the following: dealing damage to enemies, healing health to allies, granting positive status effects to allies, granting negative status effects to enemies, blocking damage, creating allied units, incapacitating enemies, moving enemies, or granting mobility. While there are a few exceptions, like Soldier 76's dash, that only fit into one category, you'd be hard-pressed to find a handful that don't belong in at least two. This dual-purpose design to skills grants more agency and choice to the player. Should Ana sleep an enemy that is using their ultimate ability to stop them from killing their teammates? Or should she save it and use it on that pesky tank to incapacitate them for the next team fight? Would it be better suited for Wrecking Ball to use its ultimate on top of a group of enemies and attempt to chalk up a few kills? Or should it be used in the middle of a well-trafficked route to push enemies along a different path by blocking them? Orisa's armor ability we could use to bulldoze through traps, but it could also be used to shield your teammates from danger. These interesting gameplay questions are offered up solely due to how the abilities are designed to work in multiple ways. If every character's ability had only a single purpose or everybody had the same abilities, this conversation would be moot. But having these consequences be present offers the agency and choice making that turns a shooter into a thoughtful and engaging manner. This complexity is nice, but one of its greatest strengths is how simple it is on the surface level. Every character only has a few commands and abilities they can accomplish, meaning that it is easy for players to pick up and understand each one individually. However, the previously mentioned dual functionality means that there is still depth to the combat. Maybe not on the level of a game like StarCraft, but infinitely more approachable. All of this is designed so that teammates are encouraged to cover each other and help if a teammate is out or failing their task. Tanks can provide offensive damage to assist the damage dealers in earning eliminations. Healers can cover the spots left open by tanks by healing away that taken damage. And the damage class can focus on particular enemies quickly to give the healers less overall damage they'll have to heal. These three overlap and blend into a well-oiled team structure. And this team structure is the biggest aspect that benefits from this dual-purpose ability design. Teams do not have to follow a rigid structure. Instead, they are offered a bit of flexibility, as characters can easily pick up slack that is left by not committing completely to a certain role. Having 6 characters that each can act in different roles at different times leads to this depth, as not only does one have to consider their own abilities, but how they fit into a greater team as a whole. To further compound on this already complex formula, the enemy team composition also has a major influence on the role your character should take. The presence of a specific enemy or particular character being problematic leads to a dynamic shift of roles inside of your own team lineup. Perhaps a Baptiste might focus more on offense to help deal with a pesky flyer like Pharah. Maybe a sniper deep in enemy lines can be handled by your team's diva. Maybe Mei can use her walls more defensively against a Bastion that is dwindling down the tank's shields too quickly. There are plenty of scenarios of how your team might switch slightly in their functions due to the enemy team. And once again, this is because of how the design allows for this flexibility and multiple purposes for each ability. My purpose in this video today is that I do not believe that Overwatch would be the hit it is today without this design. Sure, the fun character designs and personality adds a lot of charm to the game that make it the juggernaut it's become. But without that depth provided by the dual purpose design and the approachability of the simple controls, I don't think Overwatch would be what it is. Whether this remains true for the design of Overwatch remains to be seen as of yet, but I hope they continue down this path. The idea of depth through the complex web of interactions of multiple moving parts and functions, as opposed to depth through pure complexity around each individual character. Finally, this all lends towards the theme of the game. Being a team is what Overwatch is about. You're not just a random soldier. You're a superhero that is a part of a grand team of unique world-saving individuals. You have a role in this team, and work for the greater good in each move you make. Covering for your team and helping out where you can is what makes the team work. As always, thanks for watching. I'd love to hear about examples of your heroics in Overwatch and which character you think is the best designed. But until next time, Godspeed.